Okay, time for a new video, and whether you are somebody new to my channel or you are returning to my channel to watch this video, it is greatly appreciated. As always, I'm filming this video in one go, so if I stumble over my words moving forwards, apologies about that, and also if the quality of this video is fairly poor as well, if there's any lag, anything like that at all, sadly it cannot be helped, and hopefully it is not too much of an issue for you. This is yet another Eurovision related video here on my channel, and an idea that I've had in my mind for quite a while now, and it is this: how would I have voted if I had been a British jury member at the Eurovision Song Contest? Now, I'm pretty sure I haven't filmed a video like this before, but if I have, apologies. This is a more updated version, if so. But what I was thinking about was, if you are a jury member, let's say that I was, am I voting purely for my favourites, irrespective of whether the performance is decent or not? Am I just voting for my several favourite tracks? Or am I listening to a song and watching the performance of that song and thinking, okay, it's not really my cup of tea, I'm not really going to listen to it again after the contest perhaps, but I can see that it was well executed and therefore it deserves a couple of points. Do you see what I mean? So that's what I've been thinking about in preparation for this video, and I've got up to 2017. I am going to be starting with 2009, the Moscow contest, because that is when the juries started playing more of a part in Eurovision again after years of the result being determined 100% by the public. The juries were always there, lurking in the background, and of course in 2008, the year before in Belgrade, we had that sort of wild card qualifier that was solely determined by the juries. But they became more of a thing again in 2009, so that's where I'm starting, and I'm just going to rattle through this at a pretty good pace. As always, let me know your thoughts on the songs that I mentioned today. It's always nice to see comments and things like that. Feel free to share the video, subscribe, all of that good stuff is much appreciated. Links, as always, also in the description to my other social media pages. Check them out if you so wish, including the joint Instagram page that I run with my friend Peter at rajc.esc. So, 2009, I've got the jury results. Well, I did have the jury results up in front of me. Here we are. There was, of course, jury results for the semi-finals as well, but we don't know them. We've never known them. Only for the final. I would give my 12 points, and I'm going to do the top 3 just to make this video fairly concise. I would give the 12 to the real-life winner, Fairy Tale by Alexander Rybak. Great song, catchy stuff, very charismatic, didn't seem to have any nerves whatsoever, pretending to play the fiddle. It was a very, very engaging performance. He would get the 12, and in real life, Norway did win the jury vote somewhat comfortably. I would give the 10 to Iceland, the real-life runner-up, and the real-life runner-up with the juries as well. That was Johanna with Is It True. I was very tempted to give this the 12, but I think that Norwegian entry just has a little bit more about it. I don't really know exactly what it was, but there's a little bit more about the Norwegian entry than the Icelandic track. Anyway, this is my personal favourite of the year, but I'm giving it 10 points in this instance. Beautiful woman, beautiful ballad, really nicely done, very professionally executed, nothing over the top about it, nothing superfluous to the performance. It was really, really well done. And then the 8 points I am giving to Urban Symphony with Randajad, which was the Estonian track, which finished 6th in real life and was 5th with the juries. This is a really, really beautiful song. And what I've noticed here about the top 3 in this instance, Norway, Iceland, Estonia, they all involve stringed instruments. And looking at a couple of the other entries from 2009, the UK had stringed instruments, France definitely had some stringed instruments in the instrumental of that track, Bosnia as well. It was a year of violins and things like that. But anyway, the 8 points goes to Urban Symphony, a really, really beautiful Estonian entry, great vocals, again, a really tight performance. There was nothing about this that came across as clumsy, messy, unnecessary. It was really, really well done. Special mentions have to go to Patricia Kaas with Et s'il fallait le faire for France, and Aysel and Arash with Always for Azerbaijan, which is just a really good up-tempo number, which was really well done too. But to recap, 12 to Norway, 10 to Iceland, 8 to Estonia. We move on to 2010. This is already looking like a very messy video, so apologies. This was the Oslo contest. 12 points in this instance are going to go to Belgium, which is one of my personal favourites, but I just thought that this was, again, so well done. I'm going to be repeating myself a lot, you have been warned. This was Tom Dice with Me and My Guitar. He was on the secondary stage, this sort of golden lighting. He was pretending to play the guitar. He sounded really nice. It's a very tender, sweet track with a very gentle melody. It just goes along at a very nice, almost languid pace. Lovely stuff. This was second with the juries. It very nearly won the jury vote ahead of Germany in 2010, and that leads me on to my personal 10 points, which is going to go to Lena with Satellite. The fact that she was so young and she performed this really well, no nerves really, looked very comfortable. It was a very sort of cheeky, playful performance, and that has to be commended. So she's getting my 10 points in this instance. She won the jury vote and won the public vote quite convincingly. And then the 8 points, and this was a close call between two nations, but I'm going to give it to Denmark, who finished 7th with the juries, 3rd with the public, 4th overall. This is Shanae and Nevergreen within a moment like this. Yes, maybe the tune is nothing super original, but I just thought, again, it was a well-executed performance. And looking at the other songs, this one does stand out in the mix to me, to be honest with you. So it's getting the 8 points. It was a close run thing, though, as I just said, with Georgia, who finished 4th with the jury, 9th with the public, and 9th overall. That was Sofho Nizharadze, was it not? With Sofia Nizharadze with Shine. And I really, really do like this. I think this is arguably the strongest song Georgia has had to date in the ESC. Great singer, looking good, very powerful vocals. Starts off really gently and then it definitely becomes a bit more euphoric. And actually, thinking about this song again now, I'm not sure I love the way that it builds up. There's something about the instrumental that really maybe could have been toned down ever so slightly. I don't know. But anyway, that would probably get 7 points if I was doing the full list. Moving on to special mentions as well to Romania, that was Playing with Fire, which finished 3rd in real life, and Israel, that was Harel Skart with Milin, which was very underrated in the full results. Moving on to 2011, this was a very messy year, of course. This was the Dusseldorf staged show. My 12 points, well, I really didn't know who to give it to. It's a close run thing, but I've given it to Denmark. This is A Friend in London with New Tomorrow, 3rd with the juries, way, way down in 18th. Absolutely ludicrous with the public, but 5th overall. This was early in the running order. I just thought this was very impressive because it didn't really feel like Eurovision for 3 minutes. It felt like A Friend in London concert, and I think that is a sign that they were totally in control of this performance. They looked good. They looked like a really experienced band on stage as well, I guess, and it's a really good, albeit fairly safe track, which is why I could swap Denmark with Germany, who are getting my 10 points here. This is Lena again with Taken by a Stranger, 10th with the juries, 9th with the public, and 10th overall. This is a really cool, sophisticated track. My God, does it stand out from the field. She had dancers in tight silver outfits. She was in this black outfit, very seductive, so different from what she had the year before with Satellite, her winning entry. This was a lot more grown-up, mature, slinky, sexy, whatever other synonym you want to use. Really, really good. And then the 8 points in 2011 is going to France. This is Son You by Amaury Vasily, which was one of the favourites to win. It finished nowhere, 15th, but 12th with the jury, 15th with the public. This is a sort of operatic number. Young guy at the time, very beautiful in terms of the backdrop. He was quite smartly dressed, smashing vocals, really nailing this. And to be honest, his voice alone is enough to dish out a few points in my opinion. So there we go. Denmark, Germany, France. Special mentions to Rafael Gualazzi, who won the jury vote very convincingly with Madness of Love. Azerbaijan, that is of course the winning entry by Ellen Mickey, Running Scared. And also Slovenia, that's No One by Maya. And she was 4th with the juries and 22nd with the public, meaning she finished 13th overall, which is not a bad result for Slovenia at all. But this is a well-liked Eurovision song, and the public had her in the bottom 4. Dear, dear me. A classic example of a song that people like, but not enough people vote for it. Seems to happen every year. We move on to 2012. The 12 points are going to go to Loreen with Euphoria. This was such a cut above everything else that year. There's not really anything else to add. She sounded good. It was a very engaging performance. She had the dancer with her, and it looked so professional. 12 points. The 10 points are going to go to Estonia. This is Oit Lepland with Kula. Again, the voice alone, enough to dish out points. This is such a smashing ballad, one of the best entries Estonia has had in Eurovision to date. He was 6th with the juries, 12th with the public. That's a bit disappointing. 6th overall. Really, really great song. One of the best male singers I've ever heard at Eurovision. And then the 8 points, and again, you could swap this around with Estonia. It's going to go to Spain. This is Pastora Soler with Quédate Conmigo, who was 5th with the jury, and 18th with the public. If there is ever a song you can use as a reason as to why we need the juries, there it is. Quédate Conmigo, 45 points. The grannies from Russia, 332. BS of the highest order. But anyway, it was years ago. We move on. Quédate Conmigo is getting my 8 points here. It could get the 10. What a singer. Absolutely smashing this performance out of the park. Really wonderful ballad, which builds up and builds up and builds up, and then there's that big high note towards the end. Absolutely splendid. Looked and sounded like winning material. In the end, 10th place because of that absolutely shite public mark. Special recognition goes to Azerbaijan, the host nation's entry, When the Music Dies by Sabina Babayeva. That was really, really well done. Not one of my favourites at all, but credit where credit is due. And also to Germany again, Roman Lob with Standing Still. I would not have given the grannies a single point, in all honesty, because it just wasn't that good. Fun, but not that good. Anyway, moving on to 2013 in Malmö, where we will be back next year. We don't know the exact results. Instead, we have an average rank. Why the EBU did it that year, I don't know, and no other year remains to be seen. But anyway, the 12 points I would give to Denmark. They won the jury vote. They won the public vote fairly convincingly in both instances. 281 points in total. We were in Copenhagen the following year. This is Emily de Forest with Only Teardrops. It's a sort of folky number. We all know it. I know it's not the most popular winner of the past 15, 20 years or so, but it was the sort of unanimous favourite with most people. And it's just a great song. The guy playing the flute instrument at the start, and then you've got the other people banging the drums, and there's Emily, who was so young at the time, you know, in that sort of ragged dress, sounding pretty good. It's a very sort of, what's the word I'm looking for here? I don't want to say the word fragile, but it's a very sort of tender. I don't know. Let's go with fragile. It's the sort of song that, you know, it's as though she's gaining confidence as she sings it, if you see what I mean. But anyway, it's getting the 12 points. 10 goes to Norway. This is such a cool, very, very watchable performance. This is Margaret Berger with I Feed You My Love. This was 4th with the jury, 6th with the public, 4th overall. Really, really good. This sort of electro-pop number. You had a drummer off to one side. Margaret in this white, quite sexy-looking number, I guess. And lyrically, very interesting too. So 10 points. Absolutely stood out a mile. The 8 points going to Iceland, who were nowhere really with the juries. 17th. That's disgusting. And then 12th with the public. He was 17th overall. This is Eyþór Ingi with Ég á Líf, I Have a Life, performed entirely in Icelandic. Really, really beautiful song. He looked smart, sort of northern lights on the backdrop. And this is a great ballad that builds up nicely and feels very powerful, not too over-dramatic. Really, really good. So in that instance, that is one of my personal favourites, getting one of the top 3 marks. I looked at the other songs. I wasn't too sure about them. That Azerbaijani entry, not for me. Okay, there's a dancer in a box. That's pretty cool. Is it enough to warrant a few points? I don't know. But special mentions go to Anouk for the Netherlands with Birds, and Marco Mengoni with L'Essenziale for Italy, an absolutely smashing ballad that was performed so effortlessly, very similar to his entry in Liverpool. More on that in a few minutes' time. Bear with me, we're getting through it. We're on to Copenhagen now, 2014. 12 points, Netherlands, need I say any more? This is the common linnets with calm after the storm. The reason this is getting the 12 over Austria, who get the 10, that's Conchita Wurst, of course, with Rise Like a Phoenix, is because that Netherlands performance, it did blow me away. And it is so rare a Eurovision performance has that effect on me. But I remember watching it and just thinking, this is so damn good. Look at this. The way the camera panned around them for pretty much the entire performance, the sort of minimal lighting, the smoky effect on the backdrop. I just thought this was so good and absolutely deserved to be up there challenging for the win. It was a rank outsider at one point, but then really came up on the rails. Absolutely fantastic. Conchita gets the 10. Can't really fault this. Looked good, sounded good, dramatic, but not too over the top again in this instance. Really, really good. And then the 8 points I'm going to give to Spain. This is Ruth Lorenzo with Dancing in the Rain. Now, in this instance, I do think that maybe it could have been reined in a tiny bit, if you see what I mean. I felt as though she was arguably trying a bit too hard to really, really smash this performance. That's not a criticism, though. She did a really, really smashing job. 8 points. Spain were 11th with the jury and 15th with the public. Dear, dear me. But anyway, yes, 8 points goes to Ruth. Special mentions go to Sanna Nielsen with Undo for Sweden. Not one of my big favourites, but it was a good performance. Aram MP3 with Not Alone for Armenia. A little bit too repetitive, which is why it's not getting one of the top 3 marks. And also Finland, Soft Engine with Something Better, which was 7th with the juries and 17th with the public. Dear Lord above. We move on to 2015. Some great songs, but overall not a contest that I really look back on with fond memories, I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of things that I'm not so keen on about the Vienna 2015 show, but the 12 points are going to go to Italy, who closed the grand final that year, of course. Il Volo Grande Amore, we all know it, so many people love it. Nothing original, builds up and builds up, great voices. It's the sort of song that people would have listened to at the time and they would have swooned over the handsome men. Music video's great, but that doesn't really matter in this instance. Just an absolutely terrific song, and would have been a worthy winner. And it won the public vote very convincingly ahead of Russia, but was 6th with the juries. Dear, dear me. 10 points goes to Estonia. What I like about this song, well, I love the song. I love the national final performance. I loved it at Eurovision, but it tells a story on stage a little bit. And you can sort of work out what the song is about, even if you're not fully paying attention to the lyrics, if you see what I mean. This was Elena and Stig with Goodbye to Yesterday. This was 11th with the juries, 5th with the public, 7th overall. Really, really good. My winner of the year, but not getting the 12. And then the 8 points goes to Norway, and this is very similar as well. Male-female duo, quite dramatic, builds up, simply staged. Maybe doesn't tell as much of a story as the Estonian track. Visually, there's not a whole lot going on at all here, but really good. That was A Monster Like Me by Merland and Deborah Scarlett. Special recognition, special mentions go to Loic Notte for Belgium with Rhythm Inside. That was so slick. Latvia, not at all one of my favourites, I have to say. 2nd with the juries, though. That was Aminata with Love Injected. The vocals, the fact that she commanded that stage all by herself, pretty much fantastic. And then also Russia, Polina Gagarina with A Million Voices. Absolutely a good song, no doubt about it. And it always seemed, well, certainly a few years ago, it seemed to me that if anybody was going to do a Eurovision reaction on YouTube, first time listening to a Eurovision song, it was this one, A Million Voices. I don't know why, but that was the one people went for. We move on to 2016, and this is the last year that I've written down on my piece of paper. So 12 points Australia, absolutely. Amazing vocalist Danny Eam. The staging was pretty cool and maybe a little bit original because she was sort of interacting with that screen a little bit. But it wasn't trying to be too fancy or too innovative. The emphasis was very much on her voice. It's a great song, and she won the jury vote very convincingly 4th with the public, 2nd overall. And had the public not put Poland in 3rd place, Australia would have won the 2016 contest. Probably. But we move on. Ukraine, 1944 by Jamala, getting the 10 points. I am not a fan of this song, never have been. But credit where credit is due. This is what I meant at the start of the video. Do you vote purely for your personal favourites, or do you look at a song and say, it's not really my thing, but I can see and hear that it is quality stuff? That's what I was thinking here with Ukraine. 1944 gets the 10 points. Jamala, of course, was there in Liverpool earlier this year as well. And then the 8 points I'm actually giving to Belgium, who opened the 2016 final. This was Laura Tesoro with What's the Pressure? She was 6th with the jury and 16th with the public, because of course she was. 10th overall. Fantastic. I was so impressed with this at the time. I'm still impressed with it now. She was so young, looked fantastic, singing well, bit of choreography. It's a really funky number. It was fun and really well performed. And that alone, at the time, would have impressed me had I been a voting jury member. 8 points to Belgium. Special mention to France. That was Amir with J'ai Cherché. He was 3rd with the jury, albeit well behind Australia and Ukraine. Sergei Lazarev for Russia. They just threw the kitchen sink, the whole kitchen, the whole house at that performance. He was 5th with the jury. Bulgaria, Polly Genova with If Love Was a Crime. If Bulgaria were to come back sooner rather than later, I can see Polly doing it for a 3rd time. And also Israel. That was Hovi Star with Made of Stars, who was 8th with the jury and 22nd with the public, because of course he was. We move on to 2017. Now, I haven't written anything down for this, so you're going to have to bear with me. I would give the... well, here we go. 12 points to Portugal. Yes, yes, yes. I'm looking at Bulgaria and I'm thinking, no thank you. I'm looking at Sweden. I like that song. It's my 3rd favourite of 2017, but honestly, no thank you. I'm looking at Australia. Maybe a point or two, but certainly not one of the big marks. Portugal, well ahead of the rest here. Salvador Sobral, so intimate, so beautiful. It was just him on that secondary stage, and yeah, it's just, even though it's such a simple track, and the sort of thing that you'd think would be quite forgettable, actually it really stood out. So he's getting the 12. The 10 points I am going to give to Belgium. I would give it to Lucy Jones, but of course she's from the UK and I can't vote for my own country. So Belgium, Blanche with City Lights. Yes, she was a bit nervous, especially in the semi-final, but she really pulled it back for the grand final. 9th with the jury, and it's worth saying that she wasn't even a qualifier with the jurors in semi-final 1. She was 4th with the public, 4th overall. This is just a really great, cool, modern-sounding track. And although she doesn't move, really, in this performance, the song itself, it's a quality track. So she's getting the 10 points. The 8 points, this is a bit more difficult. I don't think I'd give it to Bulgaria. I'd give Christian Kostov some love, but not 8 points. Sweden, really, it's an alright pop song, but it only stood out because they were on treadmills. Australian... I'm looking at the Netherlands. Italy's my winner of 2017, but would I give him one of the top 3 marks? I'm not sure I would. So I'm going to give it to the Netherlands. Great harmonies. This was Eugene with Lights and Shadows. Was that the name of the song? Lights and Shadows, yes. They were 6th in the running order, finished 11th overall. They were 5th with the juries and 19th with the public. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. I have to say, doing this video has made me realise that actually I disagree more with the public than the jury, it seems, year on year. But anyway, that's by the by. Special mention must go to Bulgaria, I suppose. That was Beautiful Mess. I do think that is an overrated track to this day, but there we are. It was a pretty good performance. And also, Italy. I would have given Occidentali's Karma some love as well. We move on to 2018. Now, 2018 was a pretty damn strong year. This was Lisbon, of course. Okay, who would I give the 12 to? Well, Austria won the jury vote. No, no, no. Sweden, absolutely not. Israel, I'm not sure I would. I'm looking at Germany. but I'm looking at Cyprus. Eleni Foureira with Fuego would get my 12 here. She just absolutely smashed it. She looked great. She sounded good, even though she was dancing really frantically. She had dancers with her as well. We had fire towards the end. Very fitting. This was just a bit of a showstopper. It really was. And the momentum was with her. And it would have been a great winner. A really solid pop song coming out on top. Would have been Cyprus's first win as well. Getting the 12 points, Fuego. 10 points I would give to Germany. This was just so beautifully done, and they got around the stage in Lisbon. Obviously there was no LED screen, so they just brought this massive screen with them and projected things onto it. This was Michael Schulte with You Let Me Walk Alone. Beautiful song, fourth with the juries, 6th with the public, 4th overall, nearly 3rd. Fantastic stuff, very touching, very emotionally charged, very beautiful, absolutely stood out. The 8 points, France, Lithuania, Ireland, Albania. Great voice, I'd give him some points, absolutely. Eugen Bush-Pepper. I don't know, Estonia, that's a good song. But at the same time, it's almost as if the song was overshadowed by her big dress. La Forza, that was. I think I'm going to give it... Do I give it to Ireland? Do I give it to Israel? I don't know. This is or France. Do you know what? I'll give it to Ireland. Just because I thought it was a really, really, really good performance. Told a little bit of a story on stage. The two guys, the lamppost, the fake snow... decent vocals, the woman playing the piano as well. It was a really, really pared back, touching 3 minutes on stage. So I'm going to give Ireland the 8 points, but special mention to Madame Monsieur of France. That just needed a little extra something to make it really stand out. The result was very disappointing that year, as it was this year for France, and last year for France, and in 2019 for France. Israel would probably get a few points from me. Sweden, I don't think so. I honestly don't think that Swedish entry is actually that amazing a song. And he had a pretty decent light-up podium, but that was about it. I don't know. Very overrated by the juries, absolutely. But you could say very underrated by the public. I really like the Danish song, but I'm not sure that's getting a huge mark from me at all. Estonia, special mention. Albania, special mention. Lithuania, special mention. I'd probably give Australia a mark or two as well. We move on to the Tel Aviv 2019 contest. We're nearly there, ladies and gentlemen. As I said at the start of this video, do let me know what you think. Who would you have voted for had you been a jury member in these years? So 2019, Netherlands will get the 12. Just really beautiful, a cut above most of the other performances that year, in my opinion. Australia would get the 10 because it stood out so much. She was swinging about on a pole and sounding that good. That was, of course, Kate Miller-Heidke with Zero Gravity, which is my winner of 2019, but she's getting second place in this instance. The 8 points... Switzerland was good. I was very impressed. Malta was good. France was good. Norway was good. That was underrated by the jurors. I think I'd give it to Italy. North Macedonia, special mention. Sweden, special mention. Although that was a very plain performance. Switzerland too. I don't think I'd give Russia anything here. Or even the Czech Republic. But the 8 points is going to go to Mahmoud with Soldi Soldi Clap Clap for Italy. A bit of a sort of rap type number. I really didn't like the way this was staged, to be honest with you. It didn't really pop out from the field at all. But the song is good, was good, is good. And he's a pretty good performer. This was better than his performance with Blanco in Turin last year, if you ask me. I just didn't like the visuals much. I don't know. I think it was going for some sort of gritty aesthetic. It is what it is. We move on. Netherlands, 12. Australia, 10. And Italy getting the 8. My voice is going. Time to wrap this up, I think. 2021, obviously no contest in 2020 because of the pandemic. 12 points here. Oh man, this is tough. Oh boy, oh boy. What a strong top three. I think I'd give the 12 to Switzerland, who won the jury vote in real life, and that's only because France, who will get the 10, I think. At France, she just stood there with the light behind her, and she had the birds on the stage floor as well at one point, if you remember. That was Voila, great song, public liked it as well. But with Switzerland, that's a ballad, but there's more movement, there's a bit more fluidity to it, and as such, I think it stands out a little bit more. That was John's Tears with Tout l'Univers. Fantastic, fantastic stuff. What a great ambassador for Switzerland he was. And then the 8 points has to go to Italy, because this just felt like a Maneskin concert. They've got a new single coming out very soon, actually, while I mention them. And Zitti Buoni, one of my favourite ESC songs to date. Fantastic stuff. And I was so thrilled we were getting a big, old, balls-to-the-wall rock song at Eurovision. And Italy were the country that were bringing it. Fantastic. So Switzerland 12, France 10, Italy 8. Special mention, Malta, yeah, they'd get a few points. Iceland would get a few points. Bulgaria, oh my god, yeah, they'd probably get the 7. I've watched that performance back several times over the years. That was Growing Up is Getting Old by Victoria. I just love the way that song ends. Sort of a cappella. Really fantastic. Very emotional stuff. Portugal was great. I'll write them down as well. Ukraine was good. Belgium was good. Hooverphonic, fantastic. If you'd like to take a look at my Instagram page, the last post that I got up yesterday was about some underrated gems over the past few years, and Hooverphonic is mentioned in that post. Moving on to 2022, I will try and be brief here. I certainly don't want to ramble on for much longer. 12 points last year. Can't give it to Sam Ryder. I wouldn't give it to Ukraine. Spain? Portugal? Greece? Oh, hello. Oh, it would be Sweden, wouldn't it? Cornelia Jacobs, Hold Me Closer. That is my personal winner, but it was so effortlessly done. She had the rotating disc with her. She started off, sat on the stage floor, inch her in, and it builds up, and there's such a raw, raspy tone to her voice. Fantastic. I know some people didn't like it, but I did. It was my clear winner last year. Oh, man. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. 10 points I think I would give to Greece. That was Amanda Tenfjord with Die Together. That starts off sort of a cappella. She had the chairs on stage, and then there was that illusion where it looked like they were melting into the floor. She looked great and sounded very good, and it starts off in such simplistic fashion, and then by the end it's like this cathartic moment for her. Absolutely fantastic. And then the 8 points I would give to Spain, because she just knew what she was doing. She looked like a pop star. She was a pop star. I mean, it was a very sexy performance, but there was choreography. It's a catchy track. It stood out. 8 points to Chanel with Slow Mo. The 7 points would probably go to De Diepte by Teen for the Netherlands. Absolutely fantastic. Portugal, that was Maro with course with Saudade Saudade. Fantastic. Ukraine probably would get a point or two. Who else is there? Italy, yeah. Poof. Serbia, maybe, because of its originality. Czech Republic, I really liked. They were well down with the juries and the public, but that was a really good performance. Anyway, we move on to this year. We've made it to Liverpool. Hallelujah. Who would I give the 12 points to? Honestly, I would give the 12 to Loreen again, as I did in 2012, because Finland, as much as I love Cha Cha Cha, as much as that is such a standout performance, and it will go down in the Hall of Fame of Eurovision as one of the most show-stopping performances we've ever had. Vocally, he was a little bit shaky in the final third, and I think if I was watching Sweden's performance for the first time and then Finland straight afterwards, I'd be thinking, well, Cha 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 is a great song, but in terms of the whole thing being really solid and very cinematic and emphatic, it has to go to Tattoo. So 12 to Sweden, 10 to Cha Cha Cha. Absolutely. I would not be one of those jury voters who completely blanked that entry whatsoever. The 8 points. Oh man. Oh man. Italy, just ahead of Estonia. Of course, that's Marco Mengoni with Due Vite and Alika with Bridges, both fantastic ballads, next to each other in the running order. Alika was 5th with the juries and 19th with the public, because of course she was. Quality being shunned once again here. Who else? I mean, Israel was good, yeah. Noah Curel, fantastic. She just looked like somebody who'd been doing this her whole life. Australia was good, yep. Belgium's pretty good. Spain was good. I'd give that song a bit of love. Maybe Lithuania would get a point as well, a sneaky point. Yeah, France, yeah. That was underwhelming. I watched that performance back, Évidemment, very recently, and it just wasn't as good as I wanted it to be at all. Slovenia was good. But anyway, there we go. So, just to recap, ladies and gentlemen, 2009, Norway, Iceland, Estonia. 2010, Belgium, Germany, Denmark. 2011, Denmark, Germany, France. 2012, Sweden, Estonia, Spain. 2013, Denmark, Norway, Iceland. 2014, Netherlands, Austria, Spain. 2015, Italy, Estonia, Norway, which is my personal top 3 but in a different order. 2016, Australia, Ukraine, which is nowhere near my top 3, and Belgium. 2017, Portugal, Belgium and the Netherlands. 2018, Cyprus, Germany and Ireland. 2019, Netherlands, Australia and Italy. 2021, Switzerland, France, Italy. 2022, Sweden, Greece, Spain. And this year, Sweden, Finland and Italy. So there you go. My opinion's not wildly different from how the juries voted in real life. I think the only difference might be Iceland getting my 8 points in 2013, because that song was much lower down overall with the juries that year in Malmö. But otherwise, no real anomalies whatsoever. Let me know what you think, and feel free to leave your own marks in the comments below, or let me know on my other social media pages. That's it. That's how I probably would have voted had I been a British jury member in all of those years in question. Until next time, take care of yourselves, stay safe, apologies if the quality wasn't that great, and I'll be back with a new Eurovision related video very soon. Take care, and bye for now.